Get ready. We're going on athletic adventures all over the great state of Michigan. And the show begins now. Here's your host, Audrey Dahlgren.
Happy Monday, everybody. I hope your weekend was fantastic. I'd say mine was rather eventful. Alex, how about you? Did you have a good weekend?
Yeah, I had a pretty lay low weekend. The fiance was up at the cabin. She went up to the UP for the next week or so, and I didn't head up to the lake. So I was just by myself this weekend, just hanging out. Went outside, went for a walk. It was nice.
Nice. All right. Well, I did go to the Graduate for the first time, which for people listening, if you are not listening in the East Lansing area, it is a brand new hotel / they have a rooftop bar at the top that they opened, and it is all tailored to Michigan State history, athletics. There's all these little ties that just make it very unique, from the wallpaper that are the Flintstones in the bathroom to wallpaper that is centered around all of, some women's sports at Michigan State. And there's a Magic Johnson replica that is made out of shoelaces, I believe it is. There's just a lot of really intricate and very cool things. There are a couple of college towns across the country who have this type of hotel and establishment. There's one in Madison, Wisconsin. And so it's very an up north feel to it too when it comes to Michigan, because that's what, the state's kind of known for, is the Great Lakes and people going up north. And anyway, it's a great venue. And I think this is something that MSU needs and something that the area needs for young professionals and professionals. But, I brought this up to a couple of people, and some people agree with me, other people don't. But I don't think that this should be a college attendance / hangout gathering place, because it's something that I feel like they own everything in town when it comes to being able to go out places. And so this is a nice place for people who are just, like I said, young professionals and professionals.
What are you insinuating about college kids?
Well, you were once a college kid, so I think you could probably figure out where I'm going with that.
And once being a college kid, the easiest way to box us all out is just hike those prices up to adult level prices. Just don't sell up $55 pitchers, and I think you'll keep them away.
Exactly. No, I know, and you can't. I mean, jack up the price a little bit maybe, and you can keep some of the college kids out of there. I don't know. I have been waiting for something like this to come to town, because there's the other thing too, is covering athletes.
Yeah.
I don't want to run into them.
Yeah.
When I'm out, if I just want to casually go out for one night.
And I know what you mean, because I'm not trying to be old man, get off my lawn type of thing, but just like you said, they already own everything. What do we mean by that is like on the weekends, and like Crunchies, for example. That's a nice sit down bar, but you will never be able to go there on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, and that rings true for Harper's and Crunchy. And I already said Crunchies, Hopcat, and a few other bars around the East Lansing area. I mean, they do get sworn by college students, which is pretty typical, but it would be nice to just have, the one spot that we can go to, or when I say we, 25, 26 and up can go to on a weekend and not feel like, like you're being dragged back into your college days, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but for some of us, it's not always a good thing either.
Yeah, I mean, I was once a college kid.
Oh,
I understand. But that's
some of the greatest days ever.
But the other bigger piece to it, too, is, like I said, I don't want to run into the athletes. I don't want to,
Yeah, from your standpoint, there's even another element. Yeah, no.
In that setting, no offense. Like, I mean, I'm nothing.
Well, and I'm sure they don't want to see you either, because for that same reason.
Yeah. Well, so another reason too why this was an eventful weekend is because on Saturday morning I had the pleasure of emceeing the JDRF One Walk on Wheels on Michigan State's campus. Mel Tucker, along with 6 of the Spartan football players, were there because MSU's football program has been a proud partner of the JDRF One Walk for 10 years. And so we're going to get into more of this during the first half hour of the show today. Then in the second half hour, we're going to tell you about another community event involving several MSU coaches and former Spartan athletes that is going to be taking place on Wednesday at Forest Acres West. So this is going to be a whole community events-based show because I feel as though that kind of stuff is so important, especially too coming off a year like we did with COVID-19. You know, everybody's getting back out there and making a difference, and it's great to see. And it's what this hashtag Monday Motivation Show is going to be centered around. There's a quote from Margaret Thatcher that I feel is perfect to share for today, so here it is. Look at a day when you are supremely satisfied at the end. It's not a day when you lounge around doing nothing. It's a day you've had everything to do and you've done it. Saturday was hands down one of those days. The JDRF1 Walk on Wheels started at 10 a.m. and it was held in Lot 79, which is the lot connected to Spartan Stadium across the street from the Duffy Doherty football building. And to kick off the festivities, they played the national anthem. And as soon as it was done, it was like, let's play some football. It was like so exciting because you felt like it's time for kickoff. And, but if you think about it too, you know, since Tucker was hired on February 12th of 2020, he hasn't had a lot of opportunities to be out in the community, you know, shaking hands, kissing babies, signing autographs, and neither have the players. So it was great from that standpoint. And he, along with redshirt junior safety Michael Dowell and fifth-year senior Spencer Rowland, mentioned how great it was to be back with Spartan Nation in person, especially because Rowland is a type 1 diabetic.
Oh, you
Here's
want my
the
thoughts
clip.
on that? Sorry. Oh, right now.
That's the great.
I choked on that.
Cue the
Sorry,
clip.
listeners.
Oh, it's great to be out in the community. We're here to serve the university community. The JDR1 Walk has been a partnership of ours for 10 years now. And we're looking to further that partnership for many years to come. We have players out here today. Everyone's interactive, sign an autograph. We have Sparty out here. It's unbelievable. Spencer Rowland is a type 1 diabetic, and he just gave a great talk. It was very motivational, and so we're just blessed and fortunate to be out here today.
Being a type 1 diabetic and feeling the difficulties and the hardships of the disease, it means a lot to anyone to have a community of support when you go through something like that personally. And it also means a lot to have people who haven't necessarily felt the effects of the disease from a family member or personally come out and show their support as well, because it just shows that they care for this community, they care for the well-being of others, and it's truly meaningful to myself and to everyone who comes out here and everyone who suffers from type 1 diabetes.
This is a great experience to come out here and do things like this. You know, that's what we missed about this campus and why Michigan State is so amazing, because you have so many different foundations and people that want to help, you know, but last year not being able to do that, it was tough. Everybody was going through that, but bringing the community back together, I think, is the biggest and most important part about this. Spencer Rowland, like I said, my teammate, he has type 1 diabetes, and, you know, I'm real close to him, and, you know, I see him posting it on social media and things, and, you know, I wanted to come out and support him because there's a fight against type 1 diabetes, and, you know, I'm big on just education, so I just want to continue to learn more about it. And then when I come in contact with anyone that's going through that, you know, I could be more aware to help them.
When I was diagnosed with diabetes, it was when I was playing football. And at first, for anyone who has had a personal experience or knows someone with the disease, it's really difficult at first to really get down managing it. And I think that made me, you know, kind of find some drive and determination, because I know that other kids are going through it as well. And I was kind of just like, I want to empower those kids who are struggling with it. I want them to see that they can do it and they can get better and improve not only at managing their condition, but improve at anything that they want to chase and pursue in life. So when it came to football, it was just kind of second nature to kind of have that relentless attitude that we talk about here at Michigan State, and just keep going and figure it out as you go and continue to work hard. So it's a dream come true of mine to be here at Michigan State and to continue working hard here with the team, and it's just a blessing.
So all around a really great day, and Rowland was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes 3 years ago, and so Saturday was definitely a very important day for him. As you heard Tucker mention, he did deliver a very motivational and inspirational speech about how being a diabetic has actually motivated him and made him a better Division I football player. But it was also a very big day for the JDRF community here, which is why Jillian Brenneman is joining us now. She's the Senior Development Manager for JDRF. And Jillian, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing really good. Thank you.
Good.
I want to know, what was your favorite part about Saturday?
Honestly, as an employee, and then I'm also a mom to a son with type 1 diabetes, and walk day is always just super emotional because it's so nice to see the community come together. Type 1 diabetes is a silent disease. It's not written on anyone's forehead or anything like that. So unless if you see an insulin pump or a continuous glucose monitor on someone's arm, or you see them checking their blood sugar by doing a manual poke, you really have no idea if someone's living with the disease or has an understanding of it. So I just love seeing people come together and supporting one another and the community that's living with this disease.
Yeah, and so you probably, everybody was very inspired by Spencer's speech. And if you could, go on to tell people more about that and kind of how it was inspirational.
Absolutely. I thought Spencer did a phenomenal job. I know that he was nervous leading up to it, but, just his positive attitude with it, we can all sit back and, reflect on something in our life. And while it could be something negative, being able to flip it into a positive thing is really hard to do. And Spencer did a remarkable job doing that and just being a leader for the type 1 community, telling people that we can't let this burden our lives and that it's not going to crush your dreams. We still are able to do things that anybody else can do that doesn't have type 1 diabetes. So really just embracing the disease and being able to move forward and continuing to chase your dreams, I think was really the key part of his speech, and just letting the young kids living with the disease and even the adults that are currently living with type 1, just knowing that this disease isn't going to stop you from doing it. The only thing that's going to stop you is yourself.
What would you say is the hardest part about being a mom to someone who is diabetic, or just maybe, watching? How would you describe that to people? What are some of the hardest things or the most challenging things?
I think the biggest challenge, honestly, is just the lack of education on the disease. A lot of people hear diabetes and they immediately associate it with poor diet or lifestyle choices and obesity, where type 1 diabetes is actually an autoimmune disorder. It affects people and can strike at any age. It's not just children. And obviously, the children that are diagnosed eventually grow up. And people think that insulin is a cure, where it's actually just what is keeping these people alive. If they don't have insulin, then they truly can't live. And then, too, I think my son, he was 2 when he was diagnosed, and he's 9 years old now, but he still can't feel his highs, or no, he can't feel his lows. He does feel when his blood sugar is high, but he doesn't know how to act or behave, during those fluctuations of his sugars. It's not something that he's purposely doing if he's acting out or being emotional or whatever. So even as a parent, it's kind of hard trying to figure out, okay, are you just throwing a fit right now, or what's your sugar? Right. But yeah, I think it's definitely just the educational part, and really just trying to get the community and the world to understand what type 1 diabetes is.
Yeah, and I think, with Saturday too, because the past 2 years, the walk has been a little different, because people aren't physically walking around Michigan State's campus. Instead, they're riding in their cars, hence the JDRF One Walk on Wheels. And so why is it important to transition over to a parade around campus versus a walk with everything that is going on, post kind of pandemic with COVID-19, and we're still not in the clear when it comes to the virus either?
Absolutely. And, it was disheartening when we had to let the community know that we couldn't come back to campus just yet and do that walk. So as I had mentioned, type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disorder. And I know that everybody has their own opinion on COVID and vaccinations and such, but as an organization, JDRF, wanted to make sure that we were protecting everybody and anybody, and especially the vulnerable. So these walks are typically, a family-friendly community event, and we know that the group 12 and under currently, or I guess it's 11 and under, are not able to get vaccinated if that is a choice they want to make. So we, as an organization, aren't comfortable having thousands upon thousands of people gather with this ongoing pandemic. So we know how important it is to get this community together and to have that outreach. So while we couldn't be in person for our typical walk event, we wanted to be creative in figuring out how we could still support the community. So that's how we came up with the Walk on Wheels theme and did the car parade instead.
Yeah, and it was awesome too because people were honking their horns, they had their cars decorated. And so yeah, I thought it was great, a great turnout.
Yeah.
And, too, there are a number of sponsors that you guys have for this event. And so will you please name them or give them a shout out? We shouted them out on Saturday, but I think it's important for people to know, who's backing this and who's behind you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Delta Dental was our presenting sponsor. They've been a huge support for us for many years now. They actually hosted our Walk on Wheels parade last year for us when we couldn't be on campus. Douglas J is another huge supporter for us. They've actually fundraised themselves as a team and as a business, and they've raised over $400,000 for JDRF since they've first gotten together with us. Coonsley and Associates, Alro Steel, and then Wells Fargo, Huntington Bank. They've all been great supporters. Ford has been a national elite sponsor for many years, as well as Absopure and then Showsack partnership.
Mm-hmm. And this was great, too, because as of Saturday, the East Lansing Walk had raised $120,000 for people in the community living with diabetes, which is tremendous. And what does this money go towards, and how does it help people living in Mid-Michigan with the disease?
Yeah, and so we're still fundraising, but our teams did a phenomenal job. Both corporations, sponsorship, and then family teams and such have raised that much money so far. And as I mentioned, it's still trickling in. But so JDRF's mission is to cure type 1 diabetes, a world without type 1. But we know that along the way, we're not just going to automatically get to that cure. So prevention and then treatment of complications and then just the life-changing breakthroughs that we can come up with along the way to help ease the burden of that management. So a lot of the money is funded, all of it's going directly towards research. So researching obviously for the cure, but then along the way, different things to help with the management. Actually, this year, we just had the first disease-modifying therapy in the history of type 1 diabetes, and it reached FDA for approval, which we're still waiting on it. It was received last month to them. So the all of the research JDRF had funded for this specific, and I know I'm going to mess up the name of it, but teplizumab. It has been shown to delay the onset of type 1 diabetes in people with stage 2 type 1 diabetes. So that's showing autoantibody positive and subclinical changes in the blood glucose. And I mean, that's huge in of itself. If somebody is in that stage knowing that, in the next 3 years they're going to be 100% insulin dependent, we now know that we can potentially delay that onset. That's incredible. And then alongside, as I had mentioned, insulin pumps, continuous glucose monitors. We have now several different insulin pump companies that are communicating with a continuous glucose monitor to make an automated looping system. So the systems communicating together are letting the insulin pump know when the person needs a little bit extra insulin or they need to turn the pump off because they're getting too much insulin and their blood glucose level is going low. So there's a lot of things that the research goes toward. We also actually have a clinic in Michigan, a center of excellence at the University of Michigan that is specifically just researching type 1 diabetes. So all of the money raised is going to research projects like those.
Wow, that's incredible. And, I think this is important, too, to maybe bring up or mention is how would someone know if they are diabetic or, what are the first initial, maybe symptoms or signs if you might not maybe be feeling well, but you're maybe living with this and you don't know? Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
so there's a few different common symptoms that people will notice when they're starting to develop type 1. and the onset is coming. So frequent urination and constant thirst are really big triggers for it. A lot of the time, people are actually diagnosed when they go in for a sports physical or back to school. And there's the physical part. You start to notice that there's ketones in their urine. And so sometimes, or if they do a blood work lab sample, and then you can see your glucose level, if it's, slightly elevated or extremely elevated, that would be a big indicator of it. JDRF actually just released a program called T1 Detect, and anybody is capable of being screened, and it is screening you to see if you carry any of those antibodies. So while we don't know the actual cause of type 1, like I mentioned, we do know that it's an autoimmune disease. And we also believe that there is probably some type of genetic factor as well as environmental factor that contributes to that. So if anybody had, whether you have family history or don't have family history that you know of, but you are interested in seeing if you carried any of the antibodies, people can actually just go to our website, jdrf.org, and then it's called T1 Detect. And then you'll be able to get your testing in the mail. And it's just a simple little prick that you do on your finger to collect some blood samples, and then you send that in and they screen it for the autoantibody testing.
Wow. I mean, that's all great information because there are probably a lot of people that don't even know that those resources are out there. So,
absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, that's great to know. And I want to touch upon, too, the partnership with Michigan State football. So this is going on a decade strong here. And so how did that begin? And how important is the partnership that you have with the program?
We are so incredibly grateful for the partnership that we have with Michigan State football. They've been just amazing over the last 10 years, and, we look forward to keeping that partnership going. MSU football actually had a player, Brandon Denson, similar to Spencer's story. He is type 1 diabetic, and he was on the football team. And so, there's obviously a lot of people out there living with type 1, but as I had mentioned, it's kind of like a silent disease, and you don't really know about it unless if you see something going on. But just as Spencer is using his platform, Brandon also wanted to use his voice to help impact the local community and then really just help educate the football program. So we were able to connect with them, and it kind of just clicked from there. Our committee members have been really engaged with helping, keep the partnership going and then just keeping it building. So they every year come out to our event. They'll sign autographs for, the kids in the community and take pictures. Sparty comes, and then Coach D'Antonio and now Tucker have always been just phenomenal in helping give another motivational, small speech on their impact that they're making to help the community and how it's important to them as well.
Yeah, and it's important, Tucker was mentioning, we are here to serve, and I feel as though, the community events and the awareness is so big because, the platform that they have to bring more awareness to what's happening, I think kind of probably speaks some volumes. So I really appreciate you, Jillian, coming on to just, go into more detail about all of this because it's important, for people to know. And I was so happy to be there on Saturday. I know that Sherry originally is the one who kind of spearheads this on our side of things, but it was great to be there. And hopefully next year, maybe we'll be able to walk. People will be able to walk again.
Yeah. So we are hoping, and as our organization continues to follow the trends and research, as of right now, we are planning on fall of 2022 to look more normal and to have those walks taking place in their typical format. So we will hopefully see you guys back next year. And, we also really appreciate all of the work that you guys do and the partnership that we have to help us, again, get the word out there and let the community know what JDRF is and how to get involved.
Is there anything, too, before you go, when it comes to some more events that might be coming up that you'd like people to know about? Or is there anything else, I guess, that if people want to help, or where can they go? I know you mentioned the website just a bit ago, but is there anything else that people can do if they want to get involved with helping with JDRF?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have several different events that take place throughout the year. So the easiest way to figure out which events there are is just to go to the website, and then you'll be able to see all of our local events. But for example, we have walks coming up, and again, they're going to be in the car parade format, but we have Detroit coming up in September, and then in October we have Ann Arbor and then Grand Rapids taking place. We also have a Journey event, which is like a dinner and then an auction that takes place in Ann Arbor, and that is in October as well. And then in the spring, we'll have our Cleveland and then Detroit gala that take place, and then we'll start preparing for the fall events of 2022. If anyone is interested in getting more involved, we do have an outreach volunteer program, and so those people connect with newly diagnosed families just to kind of help walk them through the first 12 months of this new diagnosis, because it is life-changing. So really just to be able to support them. But then we're always looking for volunteers to help not only at our events, but even just sending cards out or thanking sponsors, things like that. So if anybody was looking for an opportunity like that, they could definitely get a hold of me at any time. And you can find all of our contact information on the website as well.
Awesome. That is great stuff. Well, thank you again, Jillian, for coming on. And I know we'll probably be at some point talking with you and seeing you soon. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, have a great day.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you. And if you haven't, too, seen the piece that our Ian Kress put together from Saturday's event, I highly suggest that you go check it out on our website at WLNS.com. Overall, great day. It was a great day. And so we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to delve into another amazing event that is going to be taking place on Wednesday, but at Forest Acres West. It's better known as the 2021 Lansing Promise Golf Classic. And there will be a lot of great faces on the links for this to help support the Lansing youth.
Thinking of a new air conditioning unit for your home? Hi, Peggy Doty with Doty Mechanical. A new Carrier high-efficiency AC unit will lower your energy usage and increase your home comfort. Current Carrier Cool Cash offers and available utility rebates mean your savings have never been better.
Call Doty Mechanical today at 327-7777 or visit us at dotymechanical.com for your free estimate. For heating and cooling, the names to know, Doty Mechanical and Carrier, turn to the experts.
Spotify's out with a new way to help you find new music. Notable Releases is a curated weekly playlist that collects new tracks from the world's leading producers and songwriters. You'll see new contributions from people like frequent Billie Eilish collaborator Phineas O'Connell and Esther Dean, who helped write Katy Perry's 2010 hit Firework. Spotify says it's an eclectic playlist that doesn't stick to any one genre. Earlier this week, Spotify released What's New, a panel that highlights new releases from your favorite artists and podcasts. Epic Games is teasing a mysterious new event. Fortnite video game maker is calling it the Rift Tour. It kicks off Friday, August 6th and runs through Sunday, August 8th. Epic is inviting players to take a musical journey into magical new realities where Fortnite and a record-breaking superstar collide. So who's performing? TechCrunch says all signs point to Ariana Grande. Tech Report, Larry Olson, NBC News Radio.
Trust matters, especially when it's your money. Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management work hard to build a relationship of trust by providing thoughtful, objective guidance and placing your interests first. Invest with knowledgeable financial advisors who are on your side. Call today and tell them you're a friend of the show for a no-cost, no-obligation consultation. 248-626-2000 and ask for Mark or Jay. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
I'm Tony Cuthbert with your Spotlight Sports Update. The Tigers scored 3 in the first and rolled from there as they took on the Orioles 6-2 at home. Eric Haas drove in 2 runs with a double in the first. Erasmo Ramirez picked up the win for the Tigers, who snapped a 2-game slide. Detroit will host Boston tomorrow. The NBA free agency period will officially get underway this evening as teams will be allowed to negotiate terms with players. Deals cannot be officially signed until after midnight on Friday when the new league year begins. Stars such as Kawhi Leonard and Chris Paul have already opted out of their deals to enter unrestricted free agency. Other big names that could potentially find new homes include Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan. And the Lions continue training camp this week as they gear up for the upcoming season. Detroit will open the preseason at home against the Bills on August 13th.
Welcome back to the Audrey Dahlgren Show.
You want to win, don't you? Well, I think I'd really rather try to beat him honestly.
The Spotlight Radio Network.
On Wednesday at Forest Acres West Golf Course, hundreds of people will tee off in this year's 2021 Lansing Promise Golf Classic, all to raise funds to change the future for Lansing's youth. Funny thing about this is when I was a student at Michigan State, I actually worked in the scholarships and grants department for the state of Michigan. That was like my job. And so I talked to a lot of the parents and students when it came to the Promise Scholarship and actually processed a lot of the applications. And so I know how much this means to kids in our area, but the goal for Wednesday is more than about raising money for the Promise Scholarship. It's about changing the way our young people in Lansing see themselves in the community. This is the 5th year of the outing. MSU's baseball coach Jake Boss is playing in this event, along with MSU hockey coach Danton Cole. Former MSU basketball player Paul Davis is going to be there, and Chris Holman is on with us now, and maybe he can give us a better idea too as to what other, people are going to be golfing in this outing come Wednesday. Hi, Chris.
Audrey, it's good of you to have me on. I appreciate it. I always enjoy time. How you doing?
I'm doing very well today. How are you?
Very good. Excellent. Beautiful day out there, too. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, you're actually golfing right now, right?
No. I just finished.
Okay. You just wrapped up.
Well, I'm trying to get ready for our foursome, right? So
right.
You're gonna wind up being our celebrity in our foursome. So I don't want to embarrass you.
Oh.
So I had to work on my game today.
I did outdrive you one day, so it's understandable. No.
Yeah. But that was with the cart, not the driver, if you remember.
Yeah, true. No, but Chris, I do want to get into, this outing and how important it is for the Lansing community, especially, when it does come to the Promise Scholarship and the relationships and what it's been able to do, for kids in Lansing over time.
Oh, yeah. It's just been a tremendous endeavor. And, of course, my involvement started with Kelly Dean at Dean Transportation, who was kind of the originator of this whole thing, and realizing that giving kids opportunity to scholarships so they could go on to postgraduate stuff, postgraduate as in high school graduation, was just going to better the community all around and give these kids the opportunity. And we didn't want anybody sitting on the sidelines. And so getting them scholarship money was, I think, really important to, as I always say, economic development of our area, because these kids will go on and they'll be leaders, and that's going to be good for all of us.
Right. And over the time, I'm trying to think, because I don't know if you heard the opening part there, but I used to work in the scholarships and grants department for the state of Michigan.
I did hear that.
So
congratulations.
That was my job in college. And the Promise Scholarship was something that was always, right there. We were processing applications all the time, always talking to parents and students who were, trying to get this scholarship. And do you know over the years or how much, how many people, students the scholarship has helped and, maybe the dollar amounts too that have been raised over time?
I wish I had that information in front of me. I've got information on the golf outing, but that it's been pretty incredible. And I think if I quoted the numbers, I probably wouldn't be accurate, but it would pop some eyes, because when you look at it, every one kid that gets this opportunity is a betterment of our entire community. And there have been hundreds, literally hundreds. And we've had a couple of graduating classes at this point. And a couple of things that we have found out, Audrey, and one is that the kids who receive Promise scholarships do better than the kids who are normal matriculators, who are the normal student who apply for Michigan State or LCC or some advanced training, or Olivet College, who's also involved in this. They perform at a higher level, so they have a higher graduation rate and they have a higher grade point average. So these kids are, the other thing I guess is they see the value of it, they see the importance of it, and they see the responsibility of succeeding when you're given this kind of an opportunity. And we do a lot of counseling as they're in school, so we're always there for them too, to give a helping hand and see how they can better their education. So we're really in the business of turning out kids who are really going to endeavor to make this a better community.
Do you think that, one reason why you're so passionate about that and making sure that, the youth are finding ways, to feel empowered and to make the best of themselves, does some of that have to do with your coaching pedigree and from that standpoint?
Well, it absolutely does. And, I went into teaching because I always wanted to coach. And I wound up having a very satisfying career as a high school varsity coach in 3 varsity sports, head coach, and worked with kids in the classroom because I taught as well. And that gave me the value of education. And, when I got out of education, went into business, I never got really out of education. After that, I was a dean for 3.5 years at LCC, and I was an adjunct at MSU for about 4 years. And I see so much of the value of working with kids. And if you're out there listening, Audrey, I'm sure you'll bear me out on this. When you go back and say, list 3 people who have influenced your life to make it better, somewhere in there is a teacher. Mm-hmm. And that those are the kids that we want to get to. We want to get them in front of teachers and advanced teachers and get that influence in there to say, hey, you can really give back by performing, and that's what these kids do. They're very appreciative of it, and in return, like I said, they better our community.
Oh yeah, my 5th grade teacher, Mr. Brunk, is someone who sticks out right away. He was also ended up being my cross country coach too, but it also, you're so right. There's at least one person, one teacher that you can point to in your life. I'm sure that can say, oh, they made a difference.
Yes, and coaches too. Throw coaches in there because they have the same type of influence, which is which goes deep. I mean, I'm very fortunate because I still run into a lot of kids that I coached. I own a golf course that's in the same district that I was in, and I run into kids. And you know what? It's so gratifying to find out how well they're doing and that they have 2 kids or 3 kids and their kids are going on to college. I mean, it's just, you're just reversing a cycle, so to speak. And once you've done that, then the culture is in the family.
Right.
And that's so important. Family is 75% of education. It is.
Absolutely. And I want to touch upon, too, the outing on Wednesday when it comes to the sponsors of this event and who have been, longtime sponsors. Well, it's in the 5th year. The Classic outing is in its 5th year. But who have been, you mentioned Kelly Dean. I know he's a huge supporter. But who are the other sponsors that have come forward and really been in your corner for this?
Well, the Michigan Business Network, of course, which is a company that I own, and they've been there since the beginning as well. Auto Owners has always participated. Douglas J. has always been involved in this thing. Farm Bureau, Maynard Casterson, they've always been involved. And then we've had a few people who were involved as companies. The former owner of APCO was involved, and Mike Nussdorfer, after he sold the company and moved on, has remained in buying a team, and the teams are $5,000, and that's the sponsorship and the team. He's done it personally, so you can see how some people really get caught up in this. C2AE, Sinair has been incredible. TriStar has always had a half team in. LAFQ, our local federal credit union, and of course Ralph Shaheen and Jason Cords. They've always been involved as well. So that's to name a few. And it's interesting because at $5,000 apiece, we're gonna raise somewhere north of $55,000 this year.
That's tremendous.
And that's a pretty good, Dan. I want to get to about 90 because that would fill the course. Last year and this year, of course, as you know, has been particularly challenging because of COVID. There are a few teams who are donating to the Promise but not putting a team in. Teams like Neogen, companies like Neogen and other people, just because they don't want to put their people into an outing quite yet because of COVID, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you got participation on a lot of different levels here besides just this particular outing. But this outing has been had them involved in getting at a higher level, and I got to throw in Accident Fund. Accident Fund, way back when we were first starting this, I was able to go secure Accident Fund as our very first corporate donor. And they donated them $100,000,
Wow.
and at that point we were brand new, so there's a lot of good companies and good people in this community that are really a part of this. But this golf outing seems to be the thing that I do as kind of my job for the outing, and it's just gone on famously. And I want to give plaudits too to Acres West because Forest Acres West always does a great job with us in helping us out, and they kind of run the golf end of it the day of. And it's been phenomenal what they've done. And I would say to people, if you got a golf outing or going to have one, take a look at Forest Acres West because they do a tremendous job out there.
It's always been there, right, Chris? At Forest Acres West?
Well, we moved it there a number of years ago, like maybe 3 years ago, and it was one of the best things that we've done. You mentioned a few of the celebrities, and I can't say enough about those folks. You mentioned Paul and yourself, of course. Will Tiemann is out there along with the coaches. I don't want to start naming them because I know I will forget a few, but there are always people who ante up. Kevin Miller from NHL fame, local guy. They all come and play in a foursome, and they're donating their time. I mean, this is stuff they could be doing with their days in their businesses for the most part, or whatever their jobs are, and they take 4.5, 5 hours out of their day to come out and just support this. And we've had everybody kick the thing off from good friend Tom Izzo and Susie Merchant to other coaches this year. We're going to take a different tack. We're going to have the new superintendent, who's really a marvelous guy, of Lansing Schools. And, of course, he wants to be there because his kids are the recipients of this. And the president of LCC are going to be out there, too, because a lot of those scholarship kids go to LCC. And, you just see the whole kind of chain, the distribution channel, if you will, the whole chain of command there. And they're all representative, and they all give something along the way. It's just pretty incredible. Loomis has always been involved, too, Jack Davis. And I say that with almost a moment of silence because Jack passed away last year and was a very dear friend. But they've been involved since way back when as well.
Yeah, the aspect of having, as you mentioned, some of the coaches come out, it speaks some volumes. And I think that with Danton Cole, who is going to be there, the MSU hockey coach, and Jake Boss, the baseball coach at Michigan State. The interesting thing about them is that they're from this area. They're from the they're from the Lansing area, so that adds another component to it as well, and an importance factor because they know how beneficial it is for youth in this area to, as you mentioned, feel that empowerment. And so, if you want to speak to that,
they're part of the community, and they've seen the community, and they've seen the community grow, and they know some of the things that are important to make this community continue to grow and be the wonderful place it is. And so you're right. That even adds to their commitment. And, you call these guys and you know how busy they are, and they're always like, oh, no, I get that. My time is yours. And, you can't, when you look at their schedules, and Audrey, I know you know their schedules because you interview these guys on a daily basis, but they're all committed, and they take that time, and they are part of it. And it's really it's really heartwarming to see that. And I think you're right. The fact that those two guys are local, and God, I even know Jake's dad, Jake, real well from his coaching days. So it's kind of fun. But we want to get it to be self-perpetuating, and I think we're there now. And though this is going to be a wonderful year, I think every year after this we're going to grow a little bit more.
Absolutely. And I want to ask you too, if you have a favorite memory or moment or something that just has stood out over the years when it comes to this outing, because, it's a good time, a lot of camaraderie that's built, jokes are shared, stories are shared. So do you have anything that you always think of fondly, or when it comes to this outing from a story standpoint that you could share?
A couple of years ago, and I also want to mention Andre Hudson, and like I said, I was hesitant to start talking about the Tico Duckett has always come out. Todd's always been there. Andre, unfortunately, will not be there this year, and Todd Duckett has always come out too. But he won't be there. But my memories are these. I did some spontaneous interviews with a mobile phone with Paul Davis and Andre, and they were hilarious because I asked them, embarrassing questions as you would, of course, and they all snap back with some really good answers, and that kind of thing is fun.
You asking embarrassing questions, I never would have guessed.
Can you imagine? Well, and another one that's always really fun is Will Tiemann, because Will is like you. He's in the pits every day, and he knows what's going on, and he has some just incredible stories like you do, and it's just fun to hear him share, because the people who play in the outing aren't people that are in that kind of genre. They're not in that loop, so to speak, and just having that experience is just really, really good for them. But we used to have my crew from the Michigan Business Network go out, and they'd sit at like a par 3 with a pond and kind of do the most embarrassing moments. And we finally found out that we were probably going to get sued somewhere along the line, so we had to give that up. But seeing some of these incredibly wonderful athletes dunk the ball in a pond that's like 20 yards away. I mean, those are priceless moments,
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
well,
they may be a profit center down the road, by the way, but sell them that,
Yeah. Well, Chris, I appreciate you coming on and getting the word out more about this. And just, it's so important, as we've talked about throughout these last, 10, 15 minutes, the awareness piece, but also to the overall goal is, raising money and to help empower the youth here in Lansing.
So. Well, thanks so much for having me on and giving us the exposure to your audience. And I might say that one of the big draws out there is the queen of sports in the Lansing area. And Audrey, that's of course you. And we appreciate your involvement in this too.
Well, Chris, that's very kind. I do appreciate that as well. And I can't wait to play with you on Wednesday. It'll be fun.
Looking forward to it. All right, kiddo.
All right.
Thank you.
See ya.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. The great Chris Holman. He has so many stories, Alex, that, it's always a pleasure, being around him, and what he's doing in the community is great as well. It always has been, and it will continue to be that way. And so Wednesday should be, it should be a good day, just because, as you mentioned, there's a lot of coaches and athletes who are going to be, playing in this outing, but also, business leaders in the community as well, who I think a lot of people are ready to get out and continue, because after last year with the pandemic, we've talked about so many different times, but getting out there and just showing your support after not being able to for a year.
Yeah, no question. And on top of it, you get to play a little golf, which is always always fun.
Yeah.
You're pretty, you golf quite a bit, don't you?
Yeah, I've been picking up the sport a lot more over the last year and a half, 2 years, I would say. But this year is the year that I've really kind of started to master my driver. Okay. And so I have had a couple of really good shots off the tee.
Mm-hmm.
And
those always bring you back.
And so that is what, especially because this outing on Wednesday is going to be like a scramble setting, which is perfect.
Yeah. Especially if you're confident with your driver and having a very a very capable female in your group for the scrambles is huge because you get to hit from the red tees. So if you're a big hitter from a female standpoint and you can drive it pretty well, you're going to be a huge asset for any scramble team because I mean being consistent off the tee box and getting them into great approach situations. You'll be the ringer for sure.
Well, it's like I say I could try to help, like I said, off the tee. And then putting, I'm decent. I'm a decent putter. Mm-hmm. But it's like in between in the fairway. Mm-hmm. How about you guys take that? I suck at that.
100 out, 100 in.
I suck at that part. But no, and Nick Mantis is actually going to be golfing in this on Wednesday as well. And so it'll be great from that standpoint to have representation, from our station there. Mm-hmm. I'm a big community person. That's one reason why I moved back home to land, to this area to work here is because, I was doing community events in St. Louis. I think I may have said this on the show once or twice, maybe before talking about certain things, but I've done community stuff. I was doing that in St. Louis and I'm like, I need to go home and make a difference.
Yeah, because this is not my community. You know,
like they embraced me with open arms, and but it started to feel like home. It really did, but it's not home.
Exactly. There's definitely a difference from the place that you grew up and then the place that you venture out to. I mean, obviously, home is always will be home, and
home is where the heart is.
Exactly.
That's what they say. No, but these are like I said, and it was on to see the support on Saturday that was given for JDRF and the one walk was tremendous. You have this outing that's taking place on Wednesday for the Lansing Promise. And then actually today at the Country Club of Lansing is the George Perlis outing. And so, he's no longer alive, but that is an outing that has, done very well over the years. And the cause for it is because George Perlis, with the Special Olympics and everything, that's a cause that was really near and dear to him. And so Nick Mantis is actually there right now. I wanted to try to call him quick, but we only have like 3 minutes left. So
no worries. But not to take it too off track, but I'm watching this water. Is it a water aerobics or water whatever in the Olympics where they basically are doing dance routines in the water? And I've seen clips of it, but the whole time I always thought they were like in 5 feet of water or something like that.
Oh no, they are fully immersed.
That is like 14 feet. They're treading water that whole time and still somehow elevating themselves. I've never seen the shot underneath and didn't realize how deep of water they are. That is wildly impressive.
Yeah,
I can't even imagine like the synchronization and everything. I thought for sure there had to be some sort of ground underneath them for them to be.
Oh no!
Apparently
no.
not. That is mind blowing.
No,
I'm mind blown right now.
You've never seen that before?
I've never seen the shot. They have the shot where they show you half of them outside the water, and I've only checked this out like maybe on a Twitter clip or something. I've never actually sat down and watched these events, but yeah, I'm mind blown right now. I did not realize that they were in that deep of water. To do what they're doing is just even more wildly impressive than initially.
Synchronized swimming.
It's
synchronized swimming.
That's insane. So. They should call it the Dolphin event or something. That's that is insane. Like that's really very impressive. Sorry to get you off track, but
no,
wow.
That's fine. No, shout
out
out to them because it is really difficult. You're flipping upside down in the water. You're having to be in sync at the same time, and so that takes a lot of talent and effort. I do want to say this about the Perlis outing before we go. Like I mentioned, Nick is there, and so really looking forward to having coverage of that tonight on our sportscast at both 6 and 11 o'clock. They always have a lot of people in the community who show up for that event as well, and so hope everybody has a really good rest of their Monday. I hope that you enjoyed today's show and learned something maybe that you didn't know before, maybe when it came to type 1 diabetes or the JDRF One Walk, JDRF in general, as well as the Lansing Promise Scholarship. And so, have a great Monday. And